welcome back everyone. We can start this second cast of the game. We have here Elyona versus Scatterbrained. We are in the EGCTV Masters Winter. There is 1 point for Elyona. He won the last game. And this will be a very interesting one. Don't hesitate to go and watch EGCTV, of course, because they organized this tournament. And yeah, Elyona, who is playing the IU bits in the blue color, and in front of him we have Scatterbrained, who is playing the Ottomans in the red color. So this will be a pretty interesting match because we are on a pretty weird map. I gotta say it. This is a pretty weird map because we have some fishes, but not that much. We only have one deep water fish, and all other fishes are shoreline fish. So on each side we have one deep water fish, and then you kind of want also the control of the water because of the trade post that is a coastal one, and so you can trade, but you cannot trade that much, I feel like, because this is not a pretty far distance, and if it's not a far distance, then you don't have so much resources from it, and so it takes a long time to gain resources from that. So yeah, and especially because the trade ships are very expensive. This is 200 resources, so it's kind of expensive. It's not that easy, but you have to go on water because you can have a little bit of food thanks to that, at least to do 3 boats, because you can have a little bit of economy. And yeah, and the rest of the map is pretty interesting also. I will disappear. I forgot that. I forgot that you were seeing me. And it's not very interesting, of course. We want to see the players playing to these amazing games. And yeah, the map is pretty weird also because you have, as you can see here, you have all the resources, the food resources that are here. And also all the gold. You only have 2 golds in your base, and you have like 1 berry bush, one pack of berry, and a second one, but it is pretty far. And if you don't have the control of the map, then you lost. So I feel like it's a map that is interesting because, well, if you don't have the control of the map, you lost the game, so it's over. So this is a pretty quick map. I feel like the game will not last very long. And what is very interesting, of course, is that it's a map that we don't see that much on tournaments. So yeah, this will be very cool to watch. The Ottomans are not very strong right now on AOE4, but we can see here that maybe Scatterbrained has something in mind to, I don't know, maybe it's something special for this map. Sorry, we have the Sultanani trade network. Maybe he wants to trade with the coastal trade post. He can put here, for example, a market and trade with the trade post. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not. I will discover with you what we can do on this map because I didn't train for that one. So yeah, let's analyze what will happen on this game. And yeah, we have 3 boats, and I feel like the map is not very well designed also for that reason. I just watched it with a friend not a long time ago, and he was saying to me that this was an unfair map because you can have a dock here, which is very, very close to the deep water fish for 1 player, and it's always the one on the top of the map, and the one on the bottom of the map cannot build the dock here because, I don't know, the map is weird and you cannot build it here. You can only build it here. So this is a pretty far distance, and I feel like it's very unfair because it's always like that. It's not something due to luck or something. This is something. This is not RNG, you know. Like this is always like this, and I feel like this is pretty shit, you know, for a map of a tournament. And I'm sorry, I have to say it because I don't like that kind of stuff. This is an advantage for 1 player, and yeah, it's always the case. So if it was one time on 10 or whatever, it could be maybe interesting, but I don't feel like it's interesting. And we can talk about the RNG in general in AOE4. I think that's something that can be interesting sometimes because it's a game of strategy, but on that kind of stuff, well, you cannot do anything to counter that. So yeah, I feel like it's pretty much not very interesting to have that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's the same stuff as when the gold were under the TC for one player and not for the other player. It's just not interesting. And Elyona is putting a lot of pressure to his opponent, and his opponent went for the upgrade of the dock. Elyona killed the villager here, and the Scatterbrained is trying to... Oh no, the villager is not dead, sorry. I thought he was dead. No, he's not dead, and the villager is repairing very, very fast the Hulk. Very well played from Scatterbrained, very good hold. And Elyona used his demo ship, and so he lost a lot of resources for that, but I feel like Scatterbrained also lost some resources because of course the villagers was repairing the Hulk and then he was not gathering resources, so it's quite even, I think, for this one. But Elyona is putting a lot of resources on the water while Scatterbrained is not doing that much of boats. So yeah, Elyona really wants to win the water while Scatterbrained doesn't seem to care that much. Well, I'm saying this, but there is a second dunk that is coming, so maybe Scatterbrained will try to hold it in order that Elyona doesn't have the control of the water and also have the control of the trade, of course, on the water. So I feel like this is a very interesting map for the control of the map. You have to control the map on the land, but also on the water, so this is very, very cool for that reason. But I feel like for the players, it's not a very good experience. Like, this is pretty weird to play a lot of resources for something that doesn't bring you that much. It's kind of difficult. And we have here a fast H3 for Scatterbrained. I talked about it. Maybe Scatterbrained has something in mind, and I think he has something in mind, especially with this Mehmed Imperial Armory, which is very interesting because if he loses the water, he can use a lot of siege that are for free, and this siege can avoid the trade from Elyona, because if you have the control of the land here, you can put a little bit of siege, like for example Springles or Mangonels, and then Elyona cannot trade. And maybe that's the reason why Scatterbrained didn't use that much resources, on the water, and he just wanted to hold for the beginning in order to for Elyona to do not use the trade. Very interesting one. And here we have the Sipahi, and he takes the two relics at the same time by going H3. Very, very cool gameplay, of course. You can have it with the... how is it called in English? I'm sorry, sometimes I don't know the words of the stuff. I will improve on this, but like the vizier point, yeah, I think this is called this way. So the vizier point are very interesting with the imams, of course, when you do fast H3, because you can take all the relics at the same time, and yeah, you have a good economy. And yeah, I feel like the Ottoman, the only way to play the Ottomans is the fast H3, but you cannot do this on every map. You can also try to defend H2, but you don't have to do any military school, and that's what Scatterbrained was doing, right? Because it's too expensive and it's too long to pay back. So yeah, you kind of want to go first fast H3 and then building your military school. Why? Because, well, as you can see, you have 20% on H2 on the military production, and 30% on H3, 40% on H4, and you can have 100% of more with the Istanbul Observatory, which is the H4 of the Ottomans. So you can see that you can pay back your military school very easily while you are H3 or H4. And when you are H2, it's pretty difficult. Okay, so what is doing Elyona right now? He's doing the military wing with the reinforcement. He can have 3 desert raiders every 2 minutes. This will be very interesting against the Ottoman because he will have, of course, those lancers at the beginning of the game. But I feel like with the Janissaries, well, those desert raiders are not very good. Maybe Ottoman is a good civilization against Ayyubid because Ayyubid really like to do the desert raiders, the camel lancers, etc. So yeah, it can be very interesting to play the Ottoman. Elyona invested a lot of resources into the water, but doesn't use it at all. And I feel like it's not very cool for him because, well, of course, he used a lot of resources for nothing, and you kind of want to avoid that at all costs on a strategy game as AOE4, of course. But I don't feel like it's too hard for him right now. This is a pretty even matchup for now, and nothing really happened until now. With the sacred sites, Elyona is doing a pretty good job at defending those. And I wonder why Scatterbrained didn't took this relic, because it's a free relic. Okay, he will do it with the Imam Rat here. Okay, so 4 relics for Scatterbrained. Very good job from him. And we can see those Janissaries that are very, very good. And I talked about the weakness of Ottomans before. The main weakness is just that they are not very good at the beginning of the game because you can't really do the military scroll because it's too hard to pay back. And so very, very difficult to play. But as long as the game goes, the Ottomans will grow and will be very interesting. So maybe it's kind of the point here of Scatterbrained to wait a little bit to have very good civilization at the end of the game. And I don't really know what Elyona is waiting right now. I think he's waiting for his timing because Ayyubids is also a civilization that is not very, very good at the beginning of the game, but can be very good in the mid game. With the H3, etc., you have a lot of bonuses that are very interesting. You have very good units. You have the Gulams. You also have the Camel Lancers. You have the Desert Raiders that are upgraded with Veteran. This is a very good unit, H3 and H4, but not really H2. And you don't really have bonuses on H2. And on H3, you can also have this one that is very, very strong. So yeah, I feel like Elyona was waiting for his timing, and now he's going on the map. He will try to destroy his opponent. He has so much more army than him, but be careful about the Mangonel that can deal a lot of damages, a lot of Janissaries. And this is a very strong unit, but it costs so much, like 160 resources. Elyona is taking this fight, and I feel like this is a good fight for Elyona. Because the Janissaries are good, but there is a lot of spearmen, and the spearmen, well, they can tank those Janissaries. They are not hand cannoneers. They are not that strong against infantry units. And yeah, this is very strong against cavalry. And again, Elyona did a pretty good job at choosing his army. And again, as I was saying before, we can see here that the Ottomans are very, very behind right now on AOE4. And yeah, I really like this civilization. Maybe they will get changed very soon, I hope. Elyona is doing a pretty good job at attacking his opponent. Very good hold with the Mangonel. Okay, very, very good defense from Scatterbrained. And Elyona lost a lot of units for nothing, I feel like. He didn't kill any villagers. Of course, he put a little bit of idle on those villagers, but it's not that much. And he lost so much army for not that much results. But the second TC is coming, I think, for Elyona. So this is very good for him in order to have more economy than his opponent. Yeah. Elyona, who is fishing those shoreline fish, and after he can go back to the deep water fish, he will have a little bit more of economy thanks to that. What you kind of want to do is to go on the deep water fish to to use everything that he has inside, and then to go on the shoreline fish, while the deep water fish, well, find I don't know how to say it in English. I'm sorry. I lack some vocabulary again, but you can see that the food is coming back, and so you have to go on the shoreline fish to wait until, well, it is full. And so you can put a little bit more fishing boats, and you can have a better economy than your opponent. Here we only have 3 ones. And yeah, of course, this will never get depleted. But you cannot really gather more as is doing Elyona right now. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. And we can see a very good production from Scatterbrained. And what is a little bit scary for Elyona is that there is 2 military schools. I was talking about that before. This is pretty long to pay back, but here I think we have it for more than 3 minutes, and so I think it's already good for Scatterbrained. A very good trade here for Scatterbrained, and a lot of Janissaries, and well, when there is a lot of Janissaries, this is very difficult to counter your opponent. As I was talking about before, the Desert Raiders are not very strong against those Janissaries, and yeah, Elyona has a little bit of trouble here. What he can do is just winning with the control of the map, but as we can see, he's losing with his army, but he has a second TC. He has more of economy, so he can lose this fight and come stronger after, sorry. So yeah, but we cannot forget about those military schools, that this is not an economic thing, like we cannot see it here, but it counts as an economic stuff, of course, because it produces for free some units. So this is very, very strong. And here Elyona is in a little bit of a pickle, in a little bit of trouble, because he has to defend here. Those villagers and the Sipahis are very good to counter the economy. Yeah, this is the main stuff, I think, of this map. You have to control the map in order to have those tiers, in order to do not go out of food, and to avoid the fact of making farms. And the one that is making farms will probably lose this game. So we will see if Scatterbrained can counter Elyona here, and I think he's in a pretty good spot to do that. Oh yeah, and I forgot about that, but we can see 37 to 34, and maybe you don't know that, but it's not counting the siege, and sometimes I forgot about it also. But the siege here is not into that, so in fact, Scatterbrained has a lot more army than Elyona, especially because the siege is a very expensive unit. So yeah, here Scatterbrained is really winning this. Very, very. He's ahead from very far right now. The only chance from Elyona is just that he has a second TC, and maybe he can capitalize on it. But I doubt it, because there is a lot of villagers that are in danger right now, because Scatterbrained puts a lot of pressure with his Sipahis, with his siege also. And yeah, Scatterbrained proves me wrong. Ottoman is not that bad, actually, on AOE4. But I feel like Elyona did a mistake when he was pushing here. He lost so much army for nothing. This was... yeah, he could have just waited here. Waited that Scatterbrained lacks some food, for example. And if it's the case, then he cannot produce any army, of course. And so Elyona can hold until Scatterbrained starved to death. I think that's the stuff that could have made Elyona wins this game, but I'm not sure. Okay, we will move these boats. We have 2 Mangonels. This is Manjanix. This is a special units from the Ayubids. yeah, we have so much army from Scatterbrained, and here there is just so much military schools, and so they are producing so much units for free. This is insane for Scatterbrained, and Elyona has to have so much more economy to counter the fact that Scatterbrained is producing so much for nothing. It's cost him nothing, and especially if Scatterbrained is going H4, and now those two sacred sites have been taken from Scatterbrained, and yeah, especially H4, because I was talking about that before. On the H4 you have the Istanbul Observatory that gives you 100% of unit production rate. So those military schools are just pumping units every second. Not every second, of course, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of units, and yeah, this is kind of a problem, but I feel like the game is kind of over already. Maybe not, because Elyona has a lot of units that have been produced. He has a lot of archers, and the archers are very, very cool against the Janissaries. He's holding with the spearmen. Very good job at defending, but be careful about the Manjanik. The Manjanik is getting destroyed by the Sipahis, and very good job from Scatterbrained. A lot of Springald. They are very, very strong against those spearmen. Very good job from Scatterbrained. Very interesting, but with this kind of army, this is very cool to do some fights, but you cannot really destroy any buildings with that. You can just kill units, right? So maybe Elyona has still some times to win this game. I'm not sure. I doubt it. Yeah. This is difficult for Elyona. He has a lot of economy, but as I said before, the Ottoman produce so much for free that this is the same economy. And also, the Ottoman units are very strong, so it's kind of difficult to counter that. Especially the Sipahis plus the Janissaries. This is a very good combo of units, because it counters almost everything. The archers can snipe the Janissaries, but the Sipahis destroys the archers, of course. And yeah, plus the Springals that are very interesting against the spearmen. I feel like there's nothing to counter that army composition. This is a very good stuff from the Scatterbrained. I feel like he's playing very, very good, the Ottomans. And you can see those Springals that are firing against the spearmen. This is very strong. You can see that it destroys a lot of units. Elyona has a little bit of trouble to defend it, but he's defending very well, I think. But yeah, how do you attack those Springals? There is 9 of them. This is a lot. And a trebuchet is coming, sniping those buildings that are producing units. And crossbowmen are here. Maybe because we are missing some wood? No. I don't really understand why we are making crossbowmen right now. This is not a good unit against those Sipahi. This is very expensive units compared to the archers, for example. Yeah, I feel like the game is over, but maybe Elyona will defend it. There is not that much units from Scatterbrained anymore. There is a lot of siege, but there is not that much units to defend it. So maybe if Elyona is doing, I don't know, some units to counter that. What can you do as an Ayubit? Maybe a little bit of cavalry, but if you do cavalry, it's countered by the Janissary, and that's the point of what I was saying just before. Like, you have a very good composition of army. If you want to do cavalry to counter the siege, then there are the Janissaries that counter your cavalry. If you want to do archers to counter the Janissaries, well, there is the Sipahi that are countering it. And yeah, I feel like there is no option of army composition to counter those Ottomans when they have been settled, when they are h3, for example. So yeah, Ottomans are not that strong right now, but we can see that on some maps it can be very interesting because it gives you the time to be strong. So yeah, very interesting games. Don't hesitate to subscribe if you liked it. Don't hesitate to go and watch EGCTV, of course, and we will cast the last game of this best of 3, of course, because, well, you can see that there is 1-1 at the score, and yeah, the winner of the last game will maybe qualify for the main event of the EGC Masters Winter. Very cool tournament. Don't hesitate to go and watch EGCTV, of course. We will see you in the next one.